here shortly, LaRONZ, and he is the language of poetical artistry. And I'm just going to give a little bit away and stay tuned. Make sure you share this out, and we'll be right back. Good afternoon and welcome.
Hello, hello. So great to be here. So excited.
I have been looking forward to this for a very long time. You know, I get excited, LaRONZ, about every single show here that I do. I love the platform that and the ability to have technology to be able to connect beautiful souls. And but you know, there's sometimes, you know, you just connect and then there's a connect, right? And I just feel like with you, there was just that connect. And so I'm just really super excited to share everything that you do and what you've been doing and just the process and just how that energy, you know, just my goodness, right? Just when I say good vibrations, I'm saying good vibrations. And so there's just that thing. And if you got that thing, you just know what that thing is. So welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be with Welcome to Life. This is incredible. Even our interview conversation, it was just incredible. It felt like we was having a conversation for an interview at that time. So I've been so excited for the last 2 weeks to be on this platform. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. You know, it's that initial conversation that we had, you know, I never have any expectations, right? Because when people say yes to me, I'm like, thank you. That's part of my living in freedom every day, right? The freedom that people have a choice to make, right? Absolutely. They could say yes, they could say no, even if it's referred, right? And so, you know, when we initially talked and then it just kept going and kept going. And it's like, hey, you know, hey, let's be mindful of your time. And nope, you know what I mean? And so when you have that, you know what a gift that is and what a blessing that is. Absolutely. And as creative people, you in particular, with everything that you have done and are doing, you know, it takes you to a whole nother level of what our expectations are or what our expectations aren't. In terms of leaving our energetic imprint, you know, we talked about that. And you have that energetic imprint that is just from a creative standpoint is just really, 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 I mean, it touches the souls. So tell us, I want you, let's set a little ground rules here. I don't have a script. Okay.
Yes.
I don't have a topic.
I love that.
I just want it to flow. So wherever your heart takes you, I want you to know that you have the freedom to just express yourself in the way that you always do and let that all come through so they can feel what I felt and that good vibrations. I just love it. So
yes. Well, my name is LaRONZ Murray. I'm from New York City and I'm an artist curator, but I wasn't always an artist curator in Art Innovator. I actually began as a singer. So I was a singer first. And then my journey is interesting because one of my best friends was like, you know what, you should start writing. You know, you sing songs, so you need to start writing. So I was like, I don't know how to write. So he said, just try it. So from that one suggestion, I started writing poetry to improve on my songwriting. So I started writing poetry. Then I started putting these little books together because being a hustler, everything like that. Let me see, how can I make money from this right here? So I started doing that and it led to a lot of sales. I was just selling like a lot of booklets and I wrote about, it was like little 5x7 booklets, and I wrote about 6 of them from different angles. I wrote from the female to the male, male to the female, and just wrote it. And that's put like the chocolate poet. So I just want to be up under. I didn't want anybody to know that I was the male writing from all these different angles. I just want to be inconspicuous. So at that time, I was like, I wasn't really a poet head, but I just felt that this was something that was going on. So I was just selling and just kept selling more and more. So the very first time I had to perform, I actually got one of my friends who's a voiceover specialist. So I said, you know what? I don't perform the poetry. I'm a singer. I said, why don't you actually perform my poetry? So he would perform it And as he performing, I'll be outside selling the booklets because I was always thinking about selling it. So he'd be like, well, the guy who wrote the poetry, he's actually outside selling the poetry that I'm talking about right now.
Wow.
So that was interesting. So I did that, and I kept doing that right there. And my story begins what I'll call my artistic birth. And basically, I was artistically birthed on 34th Street. So what I decided, I was like, you know what? I want to find a location that will be historic, that I can put my likeness to, that I kind of associate myself with. So I chose 34th Street, Madison Square Garden, Macy's, Empire State Building, all these exciting things, a big tourist spot. So I did that right there. So I was born there, and I just started selling my poetry. I started street vending. And from there, with my poetry, I started writing booklets to go along with the artwork that I started selling. So I actually became an art dealer. Not trying to be, but I was like, let me become an art dealer. And I started putting the poetry to the artwork. From that point right there, it led to me, I was doing my music. So I met a producer, and I met my producer. I was like, I sing, I did everything like that. And I left my books to him. I said, these are 2 books I got right here. And one book was called Putting the Jour, Mega Powerful Ways How to Communicate to Every Man. And the other one's called LaRONZ MURRAY, Mega Powerful Ways to Communicate to Every Woman. So with those books right there, I left them with him. So he gets the books, he calls me up. He was like, LaRONZ, we need to make some music with this, with these words you got. So I started doing that right there. It was an interesting thing to come across a producer who understood the poetry. So I did that. And from there, he was like, okay, we started recording music. And we started recording the music in a vein where it's like he was very influenced by like people like Barry White, R. Kelly, all these different other people he was inspired by. So we had all this exciting music, and I'm selling the artwork. And then I was always handing out flyers for people to kind of see what I was doing. So we do like these big expositions, expos. I'll go to expos with my team. We hand out the flyers, and then people will see it. So one day I got this call. And this lady said, you know what? Would you like to perform poetry? I was like, yes, okay, I can do it. We pay money. I was like, great. So I negotiated a better price. I said, you calling me, so I'm going to negotiate a better price. So I go to my producer. I say, you know what? I got to show, I need the music. I need to perform the music that we recorded. He was like, no, we can't do that. So what you mean? He said, it's not released yet. So he said, you know what I do? I give you the backing tracks. I just give you the music. You can perform to it. So here I go, not knowing what I was going to do. And then I got to my team. And I was like, you know what? We got a show, but I got to perform this poetry. I never performed poetry. So at that point in time, I became a playwright. And I actually had I became an actor at the same time. Wow. So we did Adelphi University. That was our very first show. And at that show, we had the musical tracks. I had a whole big team. I had my female dancers and actresses. I was acting out the whole thing. We did it for about 45 minutes. In the actual show, I had my team that was selling the poetry as if we were selling the poetry to everybody else. So we started selling the poetry to the audience. The show went great. It was beautiful.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
So, yeah, so here I am. I was like, you know what? Wow, I'm acting, doing playwright. So I started gathering actresses and everything like that to be able to do this performance show and take it on the road. So we started touring colleges. Very interesting. Started touring colleges, making money doing that right there. Influenced a lot of people. And then from that point on, it got very interesting. So I'm back on 34th Street, always vending, always showcasing everything that I'm doing right there. And my godbrother was like, you know what? The only thing you don't have is being an artist. I said, what you mean by being an artist? I don't paint. Here we go again. I don't do this. But I believe that we have creative talents, and I want to talk to all the creators out there, is that I believe that we have a commonality, which is passion. We have so much passion. That's what makes us different and unique. You see what I'm saying? So basically, if you can take that passion, I believe that you can transfer it to whatever you want to transfer it to. So if you are a writer, I believe you can transfer to artwork if you want to. So when I became an artist, I was influenced by Basquiat. And the reason I was influenced by Basquiat, because when I was selling artwork, I was selling like the hottest, most interesting Black artwork that people was buying in America right there. So I was like, I don't paint like that. I don't paint as clearly as they do, as defined as they do. So I was like, I saw Basquiat. I was like, you know what? I can do this. So at that point in time, my artistic mentor was like, he said, just paint the background and just put your words, because you're a poet, on top of it. So I was like, okay, interesting. So basically, I have kids, and I was like, I got a box of crayon, and I went into the classroom, hid away from the kids, and started using crayons. This is a true story. I started using crayons to start getting used to colors and everything like that. And then what I would do is I was just take a little tablet and just draw. And I basically taught myself how to draw and how to paint within 3 months.
Wow.
Within 6 months, I had showed my artistic mentor, who's been painting for years, one of my images. His girlfriend at the time saw it, and she was like, "You know what? This is interesting. Did you do this?" He said, "No, LaRONZ did it." So I got so much confidence from that. So in my 6th month, I did a show at the New York Times building.
Wow.
6 months.
Wow.
Just started painting New York Times building. So I was there with only my stuff right there. So, and before that point in time, as I was selling everybody's artwork, I remember the very first time I sold my very first piece. So I had all this artwork that was displaying, and I had like one small piece way in the background. And the lady comes up, she said, "Yeah, I want a piece of your artwork." I said, "Okay, which one you want?" She said, "I want that piece." I was like, "What piece you talking about?" "No, that piece right there." I was so confused and excited. I was like, "You want this piece?" So it was a piece that I drew, and she bought that piece and left the table. I was like, wow, incredible. Gave me so much confidence. So as I did the New York Times building show, it was great because people was just like amazed. Like, "How long you been painting?" I said, 6 months. It's hold on a second. They would get more people to see what I was doing with the 6 months. So I'm doing that for 6 months. And I did the show. It was very great. Did a major show after that point in time. And that went very good. It was 2010 when I started. And it was the Harlem Fine Art Show, which is major right now. So I got interviewed in that show. I got a lot of press because people were so amazed at the time element right there. But as a creative and as a businessman, my point was to like, how can I improve as quickly as possible? Because if I don't create, I don't eat. Literally how I thought. Literally. So you talking about somebody hustling. That's what I was doing with the hustling. I said, whatever I need to do. So I will put the artwork, I'll put the words of the artwork, I sell my paintings, I do whatever I need to do in order to keep progressing and keep doing shows. So I kept doing that, success. And then, you know, about the economical downturn of like a few years later, that just made everything slow down so much. Mm-hmm. So at the point in time, I had a baby. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I need to really think about how can I really make this work? And this became slow. And then that's why I started having problems and trouble with the finances and the heartache and everything like that. So it just became a little bit more difficult with that. So at that point in time, I was like, you know what? I need to get a job. And that's what I did right there. But in that point in time I got a job and I was still creating, I was still trying to figure out because my heart and soul was into my craft. Because when you're creative, no matter how you look at it, no matter how you twist it around, you're creative right there. And with being a creative, I was like, you know what? I got to find a way. So I got I got a mentor. I believe you get mentors because mentors can directly what you're doing right there. And my mentor was like, you know what? Have you ever thought about the separation between your mind frame of being a creative and being a business person? Mm-hmm. I said, I kind of thought about it. I was a sole proprietor, but at the point in time, it was like, that's not really looked upon as a real business in a mind of the financial institutions. Now, this is something I would love to talk to creatives about because I got a terminology called business creatives. Mm-hmm. Business creatives is a combination of actually having the artistic mind or the creative mind. No matter what you're doing, you can be a dancer, singer, actor, it doesn't matter, with the business mind. And a lot of times you don't have that combination of those connecting energies simultaneously at the same time. So I actually studied that for a couple of years just to get myself in the right mind frame to combine everything simultaneously all together, you know. So I did that right there, and it became very successful of becoming a business creative. So now I actually have a university coming out in 2022 called Business Creative University, BCU. So
that's
I'm
awesome.
Really excited.
Okay, that's incredible. So we got a lot in there, and I love all of it. I want to just acknowledge we've got some wonderful people on. Just want to acknowledge them as well. Taking time out of the afternoon. Prudence, hello. Joe, hello. Tom, hello. And we have here Joe. He has a question,
Yes.
and he says, "How do you force creativity?"
Wow, very interesting question. Well, I think creativity should be free flowing, and I think that if you can connect it to some kind of passion, then the forcefulness will kind of be eliminated and be dissolved. Because what happened, you put that passion in there, that's going to spark that creativity. So I think this working on your passion.
Working on your passion.
Yes.
And you mentioned that, you said when you were talking about like all the transitions of,
Yes.
it sounded like, for me, from my perspective,
Yes.
you have that ease and flow, that ebb and flow.
Yes.
So, okay,
Yes.
this opportunity presented itself, boom.
Yes.
And then you just like went
Yes.
down and then you just eased right into that. Then,
Yes.
it's called I call them access points, right?
Okay.
So we have our 5 fingers and you go here, you get to the peak, and then, okay, another opportunity presents itself. What do? We got to dip, then we come back
Right.
up to the top, we
Right.
rise again, we go back down.
Right.
And so I think that's really remarkable that you were open. The other thing is, you were saying, I can't do this, but then you turn around though, and because we
Yes.
know the power of I am in everything,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
was it that you can't do anything, or I am, because we're morphing into switching our mindset
Yes.
as
Yes.
these opportunities are presented
Yes.
itself, right? What are your thoughts on that?
Definitely, I am. Definitely, the can't and all those different things had to be eliminated. And I came to the mind frame of this understanding your mind frame and the power that you have, because as creative, we're very powerful beings. You take
Mhm.
out creativity from the world, you look at the things that we wouldn't have, these beautiful buildings, these beautiful artwork, and different things of dancing and music and Broadway, all those different things. So you wouldn't even see these different things. You didn't have that power of that creativity of this artistry. But I'm definitely in the point of I am. So whatever I need to accomplish, it's inside my brain. I learn and let's do it, and that's it.
100%. Tom says, desire and vision forces creativity. Creativity is a force. What are your thoughts on that?
Creativity is force. I think creativity is a force in the production of it. See, once you become creative, it's like the force. You can take any famous actor or Denzel Washington, like he take that creativity, and when that creativity comes out, it's like it's force upon people that's just looking at it, just that force of the creativity. And that can be in any type of artistic field, I feel.
Well, you definitely have that force of the force of just pure determination, and I'm not going to be stopped. Okay, this is what's presented itself. What are we going to do, right?
Absolutely.
And I think as a creative, and as you are mentoring and have been mentoring creative people, I
Yes.
think that sometimes they get hung up on that part
Yes.
because it seems insignificant, but it's actually the most significant.
Yes, yes, I absolutely agree with you. But I think it comes back down to the mindset. It's like once you get that mindset, because the fact that we're being creative, it's like we can do almost anything we want to have. Though, one of my
Mhm.
biggest inspirations is Tyler Perry, because here's a guy that took the playwriting, did his thing, went through all these obstacles, and now he has like one of the biggest studios in Atlanta. It's incredible what he's
Mhm.
doing right now. So that's very inspirational to me right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Joe, he's such a funny guy. I love Joe. He says, besides me, what is your muse?
As a matter of fact, I think I need to take a picture right now and just draw you right now. Well, the world is my muse. I take inspiration from anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It can be I'm working a job or working something, and I see a coworker or I see a person that I don't know that may inspire me. I'll give you like a little story right here of
Yeah.
inspiration. And so when I was writing poetry, I wanted to write it from at this point in time. I wanted to write it from an angle that was so pure that if you could not speak, you would just have these words. So I took
Mm,
I basically made a limitation for myself to be able to just produce with the writing. So this is
mhm,
one time that I was on a train and I saw this beautiful woman. So what I did, I actually followed to the next train. And I'm always writing. So when I was writing, I actually wrote a poem called Luscious Lips, which was
oh,
it's called Luscious Lips. And the whole thing was like this dialogue of a conversation, speaking to her how what her lips make me feel like.
wow.
And at that time, so when I put that in the actual book, it became a communication tool, because now
Mm,
now a person be like, you know what, I think you have luscious lips, and they can express it through that way. So all my poetry, I was trying to make it conversational, where it's like it creates a conversation of a communication, and it goes further on because you're gonna have these energies. So in other words, you start to produce an energy, and that person has an energy, then you just connect that energy together. So my words, even though it's words, even though it's art, it's just little speckles of energy that's going out to the universe.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk my language. I love it.
Yes, yes,
That's
yes,
exactly right. And sometimes, to stimulate people's mind and have that intellectual stimulation, right?
yes.
Sometimes it's those types of it's the same form of communication, just a different way of delivering it.
Yes.
But to the point where it's like, wow, that's really magnificent, because those luscious lips, what do you have for me today? What are we going to speak on? Because it's like it tricks the brain into saying, no, I do have everyone has luscious lips, right? It's
Yes.
not just male or female, because we all have something to say. And a lot of times we're afraid to say it, but luscious, you think of being that's thriving, and you think of a garden, a luscious garden, right?
Yes.
And you water it, and then you have someone that's open to hearing and listening. Wow.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
How incredible is that when you really stop just to think about that, and then as a poet and a creative, and then to just keep spawning that's really truly a gift. And I hope you fully understand just how gifted you are, and
Thank you
what
so much.
an energetic imprint that you're leaving on the world.
Thank you. And like you said, because the thing you said about the luscious lips, or the different thing, and the whole thing is really to begin the conversation. Because now we have a point of reference of a conversation to go to so much more. So me being obsessed in creativity, I was like, you know what? I had this famous poem called Luscious Lips that I sold so many different ways, so many different times. I said, you know what? I'm going to do a painting, because once I became a painter, I painted a picture of luscious lips. So now I have a picture of luscious lips that I drawn with the poem, and then I perform it. And I actually have recorded a poem called Luscious Lips.
Wow.
That it's in the vein of like I keep saying Barry White, just that deep voice type of thing right there, with the music. So that did very well. And then the other thing would be like having an actress or a person act it out, so become a visual component. So now you got the words, now you got the visual, now you got the music, you have everything theatrically that can just that one thought right there. So that's pretty much my thing I like to do.
Yeah. And that's the power. Creative people, I am in awe at their gifts and what they can do. And then you sit there and you make it look so easy, like, oh yeah, I just did this. It's like it's a passing thought, and like, yeah, okay. I just think that's so incredible. But so you've taken us on this journey of all of these magical moments, right? And then we got to the point where then things kind of leveled out a little bit, and you had to get a job. So thanks for joining us, Tom. He said, God bless you both. He has to run. Thank you. Appreciate you taking out your time to stop in and say hello. I feel that a lot of creative people, and not even just creative people, just people in general, when you got this high and low and it's flowing, you have that ease and grace, then you're like, okay, what do I need to do? And then that thought comes up, well, maybe if I have to go get a job, right? They really don't want to entertain that, because they see it as like, oh, I failed at something, or I'm not good enough. So can you talk about what your emotions were for that, and then how you didn't let that stop you? It was mainly just a holding pattern for a minute. But what have you found in your mentorship when you're talking with your clients? Is that a common phenomena that they do that? And then what is your recommendation of not letting that hold you back?
Well, the thing about it is that when it happened to me, I was devastated. I didn't I did not want to get a job, but I had a little one I had to take care of. So the reality smacked you in the face very quickly right there. And a funny thing is, when people look at my images, I had locks, a big locks, and I actually cut it off because I had to make the transformation with that. But the amazing thing is that it gave me a second to kind of repivot, which is a beautiful thing right there. And it says that I don't have to stop doing what I'm doing, because this is my
Yeah.
passion, this is my life, because this is something I decided to do. So the thing that I had to do was that let me repivot, and then that's when I started going to the business side. I said, hold on a second. I said, if I had taken care of my business more properly and understand the knowledge of business and put that together with the creativity, then I could have been more successful to not have to get a job at that moment in time right there. So therefore, it's like, that's one thing that I would teach the students is like, I want you to understand that even though you have creativity, it's like the music business. The word business is a lot longer than the word music. So therefore, you have to take care of the business. And a lot of times what happens, you have these artists who have management. So with the management, they're taking care of the business for the artists. But you can take the artist to think like a little Tyler Perry or something like that, or even Jay-Z, whoever you may look at, that you can start combining that business aspect to go along with that. And don't look at it as when you get the job that's the end of everything. No, that can be the beginning, because now you can start working on other components that you've been ignoring for such a long period of time.
Right.
Everything all together. And that's what happened with me, because once I got the job and I had my mentorship and I started having mentors who told me that right there, I was able to kind of repivot. And now, I'll be honest with you, I feel more powerful than ever before. I feel like I'm, extinguisher that's coming up with this water is powerful right there. One thing I'm just doing this directing it right there. So the place that I come from when I teach, I come from a place of realness, because I've been through that struggle,
Right.
And now that I got the knowledge, everything like that, as far as business wise, and I'm still learning, that's the type of stuff that I pass on to my students and right there. But it's the beginning. It's just another repivot. But the beautiful thing is that being creatives, we improv anyway.
Right. Right. And you know what? I was just thinking as you were speaking is, when we think about our lives and we think about our passions, right? And we think about what is freedom. We all automatically go to the patriotic side of things. And yes, absolutely. I am grateful. I'm grateful we have the platform to be able to speak. I am grateful.
Yes.
However, there's another component of that, right? Living in freedom every day. So even though, right, you had this holding pattern transition, you still was living in your freedom, because that's your passion.
Yes.
It's not that fire has been extinguished, because sometimes, we think of fire, it's just to destroy, and it's not. Sometimes the fire is just the illumination of the light, right?
Yes.
That's burning, that's fueling that passion deep inside of us, right?
Yes.
That is getting away with everything that no longer serves us for our greater good, but at the same time holding that pattern for us. Like, no, the light is here. You had to take a U-turn real quick, but you're still on the path, right? So what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's amazing right there. But you know what? In life, you need things like that. If everything is just patterned out, then it won't be no excitement. We want excitement. We want to live this passion. And a lot of times we want to get to the destination so much. And I teach like, enjoy the journey. Right. Enjoy the steps, because it's like a little child that's growing up. They will never be that age again. This moment right here will never happen again. This moment is this moment. That's just living Satori, just living this moment right here. And then just use that passion to go to the next level, So I definitely agree with what you're talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's it's really incredible. So do you find with your clients that once you share the story and just the rawness of, hey, it is what it is, right? And you have to accept that truth. Yes. Right. You don't have to give up. Do you find it more often than not that they actually follow through with that? Or do you find that they say, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna give up on myself.
It's actually some of that. Or it's like, and I'm gonna do it, but you're not really gonna do it because you haven't changed your mind yet. Yeah. You're just speaking on everything like that, So I can feel it, I can feel that energy. That's not that real energy that's coming at me. So now that's not really, you don't really mean that, You have to really change your mindset and get into that realm right there to make it happen, But it's a struggle, but it's okay with the struggle, because the people that's most truthful with the struggle are going to have the most success, because they being real with their truth. Like, okay, this is my truth. It hurts. I said, I know it hurts. I know it hurts. Yeah. But it's okay, because you're going to take just take that hurtness, all those attributes on that other side, and switch to the other side. And the fact that you're creative, you put that energy, like they say, leave it all on the floor. Right. Like I think about someone like Michael Jordan, where it's like he used any and everything to propel him to greatness.
Right.
He'd make us something about another player. Like, you know what, you said this about me? Okay, I'm gonna get 40 on you. You know,
Right.
and I'm the same way. I get inspired a lot of times by things that don't work out.
Yeah.
You know, I look at that right there. So I try to live uncomfortable so therefore I can have success, because a lot of times we get comfortable. And I feel a lot of times as creators, we get comfortable. You know, we sit there, okay, we're gonna paint. That's what we do every day, and that's it. But we don't want to be uncomfortable. But if you get uncomfortable a little bit, that success is going to go to that next level.
Yes, I 100% agree with you on that. So, okay, so now we've had all of this, these access points accessing, right? And then we pivoted to, you had to get a job because you realized, and you know, and I really respect anyone that that takes that initiative, because it's like, it doesn't mean you've given up on anything. And I know there's a lot of gurus out there that, you know, that they have their own set of opinions on that. But at the end of the day, you know, when you follow your own heart, yes, I believe in mentors. I love mentors. I love guides and all of that, you know, but at the same time, though, if you're following that path and listening to your heart, it's never going to lead you off the beaten path, right? So just because you did make a temporary turn does not mean that you're off the path.
Right, exactly.
Right.
It's a bigger path.
Yeah, it's a bigger path. And I think being able to go within and understand ourselves and really know ourselves and use that information that's been given us from those that have already walked that path, then figuring out, how does that work for me? Because you can go and you can have all the advice and everything you want. If like you said, if your mind's not made up and you still haven't made that shift, I mean, you could talk to this wall. You might as well talk to the wall, because it's going nowhere, right? You're not going anywhere to propel that. So I really hope that as people watch this, that it resonates with them, the power that we have within ourselves to make those decisions, and that is okay. It does not mean that you have failed. So you went through these access points. You came to your truth of, nope, I got a family to take care of, and I'm going to get a job. So now, my friend, what was the next step? Because I know it's epic.
Wow, the next step was like, it was very disappointing.
Oh, wow, okay.
The reality that it did hurt, you know, it definitely did hurt, you know, and with me, it was a little bit extra, because I was like, okay, I have to really change. So when I cut off my locks, that right there was like, this is reality. This is your truth, you know. But it was a good thing, because what happened, I had to repivot and understand that it doesn't matter anything like that. It just matters what's inside of you right there. So basically, what I did, I really kind of nailed it as far as like dealing with a mentor that really helped me out. So when I did that, I was like, let me really start thinking about business. But at the same time, it gave me the mind frame to open up to follow my path that I was going to follow. You know, that's something that was a little bit different right there. And that kind of led to me doing the artwork that led to curation. I started curating and doing my first show. And it comes back to the thing where it's like, I had my first show. It was called Miracle from 34th Street. And with that show right there is that I didn't have anyone to actually to put up the show. I was doing group shows, but I didn't have anybody to curate the show. So a person I asked, said, you know what, can you curate my show? Because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
At that moment in time, or I thought. So what happened, that person declined, and I ended up doing my own show with that. So I actually just did a curation right there. I became a curator. I started getting assistants, getting more people, because I'm good at networking and putting people together with a vision. And this is part of the process, because what happened when I had the job, it gave me a little bit more leeway, because I didn't have to worry about the finances of being forcing creativity or I would think like that. I was able to, like, you know what, I got like a little cushion zone with that. So I was able to go full throttle. So therefore, I wasn't doing shows to make money. I was doing shows to make money, but I wasn't doing shows that would feed my family, where it's like, okay, I got to do where I got to make money, where otherwise I can't do the show. So I had that comfort level. From there, my biggest show that I did is it's called the 42nd Times Square show. And that had Basquiat's nephew. I met Basquiat's niece, and she's one that discovered me on 34th Street. She saw my stuff. She's like, I love your artwork. It's like my uncle. I'm like, okay, who's your uncle? Basquiat. I was like, wow, okay.
Oh, wow.
So she connected with, so when I was doing the show, She connected me to her cousin, and then I did the show right there, and I became very successful. And I kind of repivoted, whereas like now my vision became more clear. So basically, is when I got the job, it was able to put me in a mind frame that I had a little comfort, not worried so much about the money aspect so much. That was able to be more creative.
Yeah.
And that really helped out. You know, so
I'm still just processing this beautiful, beautiful story, right? It's so beautiful. And when we stop and really take the time to reflect on the process,
yes,
that's the best story ever, LaRONZ.
Yes.
Our story is one of the best stories ever.
Yes, it's definitely a story. It's definitely a story. Yes. I truly believe that. So, but just like we are examples, I believe everybody got a story. You know, it's their path, there's uniqueness. And what happens, I try to help people out where it's like, you know what, you can ride the bike yourself into wherever journey that you're going to take right there. You know, you just might need some wheels like everybody else, like a little, you know, tricycle, whatever it may be. But once you have those two wheels, you ready to go, you just can fly off into the universe, you know. Right. So I think artists make the world just a little bit more better. That's a little bit more beautiful. Like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, because I remember the first time I saw the Alvin Ailey dancers, I was so mesmerized. I'm like, how in the world, first of all, where have they been all my life? Secondly, how do they do it?
Absolutely.
Right? How do they do it? And thirdly, like it strikes an emotion that's so deep that it makes you creatives with those talents make you think. Your artwork makes you think. And I want you, if you feel so led to, because I know the one piece that you were talking about that you did of the male and the female and how you brought that together. That's a really powerful piece that you've worked on. So if you feel so inclined, I would love for you to share about that.
Yes. Well, what happened as you remember at the beginning, I was a singer and became a poet, then an art dealer. So I was dealing with art all the time. So what happens when I was doing the artwork, I was like, you know what? Somebody up the block is selling the same piece. I said, what can I make it different? Okay, I'll put my poetry to the artwork. So therefore, it became like a unit. So if whoever the picture was of the artist, I would actually just make the poetical dialogue to communicate what the artist is already saying. You know, it's like an art story. You know, so it's like if I have a picture of a man, I would say, what are the words? And I would literally, when I look at the painting, I can actually see the painting talking to me and saying these different type of words right there. So therefore, that became the evolution or the beginning or the origin, what I call L.O.P.A, which is language of poetical artistry, which is uniting multiple artistic disciplines to make a message, to make them harmonize, to make that those energies come together right there. So what happened is that when I created for the male to the female, I create a thing called soulmates. Now with soulmates, it's like, if you think about it, it's called soulmates. It's two entities. It's a soul, you're a soul looking for your mate, right? Or the mate looking for the soul right there. So there's two entities, and it's like I had a picture of a man and I have a picture of a woman. But what happened, I had a poem, but the poem only works because she has half the poem and he has the other half of the poem. When you put the two pictures together, the poem reads together. So that's the language of poetical artistry. So the soulmates, so he has half the poem, she has half the poem, she has half the picture, he has half the picture. You bring it together, those energies unite, and that's what you call soul.
And that's so powerful. That is just so powerful because you think about, you know, people make vision boards and some people are for vision boards, some it doesn't really matter. It still goes back to what works for you and what resonates with your soul. So, you know, you think about having a piece like that and know that it can't be complete until you've done the work and vibrated to that level of bringing that together, whether it's a soulmate, business, whatever. I just think that that's just simply genius. It's so genius to be able to have that. So are there any other inspirations that called you during that first phase when you were putting, you know, to differentiate yourself from and set yourself apart? Were there any other pieces that really spoke to you? What was your favorite piece or your favorite thing that you worked on?
Yeah, it was the Luscious Lips really did well because with the Luscious Lips, I will always do like say the first stanza of the actual poem, and I would perform it for all the females basically, and they would just buy. That's my female audience was really, really strong. That brought in the male audience. So, you know, when I first started that, and we used to do like a lot of expeditions, a lot of expos, is that I would have a team, and then what we would do is, this is a funny thing, we would go to these expos and just hand out these flyers and just sell these books. And what happened, the brothers would follow us and wait for the girls away from us and go talk to the girls, because they already know that they feel really good about these books, everything we're talking about. So we used to have followers throughout the whole exhibition though. It was matchmaking, some kind of matchmaking right there. So so I always had these books, and people would be like, yo, who wrote these books? And they look at me like, he wrote the books? Wow, this is crazy right there. So I had a lot of people who were selling from right there. So I had a lot of different sellers. So I had a whole group of people, and we do that right there. But that was different. So therefore, when I was on the block, I had to do things that was different. So it was like putting the artwork to it, put the poetry to the artwork. It was performing it. It was doing plays and everything like that. It was like a consistency of just making up different things to make it stand out right there. And as far as art project, what I would do, because for example, somebody would have the same piece I would have. So I would get like a 16 by 20, 8 by 10 with just the actual artwork right there. Then an 8 by 10, then I would hire a graphic design artist to do the same colorization that matches the picture. So when you look at the picture, it's a unit.
Wow.
So it's opposed to words. So therefore, the artist couldn't say anything to me because I'm selling your artwork. I bought it from you. So therefore, that was the beginning of those energies and everything like that. Make it come together. You know?
Yeah, that's amazing. So incredible story. Now, you spoke about the business side of things. And you know, when you were talking earlier, I thought about Damon John, you know, his whole story of how, you know, when FUBU started and selling the hats on the corners and doing, he had to pivot a lot. You know, I thought that came to my mind. But one of the important components that you mentioned, LaRONZ, was the business side of things.
Yes.
Right. So when was it that it really connected with the business side of that? And once you pivoted, how did you do that? And then that will lead us to what you have just launched, actually. So I'm really excited for you to share that.
Yes. Well, the thing about it was that I was almost there because I had a gallery that was mobile, but I was a businessman with a gallery. So that was working out fine. So my business sense was already there, but it wasn't fully to the point that I needed to be because I was an artist too.
Yeah.
So what happens the real transformation began when I started just looking at business, and I started joining like these groups and having a mentor, and I became keenly interested in business for some reason. Like the passion I have for the art, it literally went to the business aspect. I was like, you know what? What about credit? I didn't know about personal credit. I didn't know about why I've been a sole proprietor for so many years, but my income, not my income, but my work was together, you know, as far as like the finance was together. If you have an LLC, you have to separate those different things there. So therefore, I started learning about that. I started learning about credit, improving upon your credit, all these different things that kept leading me down to another avenue of understanding business. So I said, if I was to take this and combine it with the creativity, this is something different, because most times the creatives are not really looking that part right there, you know. So the whole thing is that when I started doing that, it led to more concept and ideas. So I took that same passion, like we always say, transferred the one passion to another passion. I put that passion to business right there. So I think as a businessman, so when I look at it, I was like, you know what? Jay-Z once said, I'm a business, man. I was like,
I like it.
I was like, this is I'm a lyricist too. So I'm like, that was nice. That was really nice. I said, you know what? And I'm very competitive, but I won't say it though. I'm extremely competitive. I was like, you know what? Let me create something that the world can relate to. So when the world started saying creatives as opposed to artists, everything like that, creatives encompass so many different things. I said, you know what? Let me take that and combine it with the business. You are no longer a business man. You're a business creative, male, female, whatever you are. So I say business creative. So now I think being creative, if you start to understand business, it'd be incredible. And I think that
Mhm.
as an example, I always use Tyler Perry. I say, here's a person, okay, he's a business creative to the utmost because he's a billionaire and he
Yeah.
has his own entity right there. So that's why I kind of have that story right there. I call it a business creative. So in creating that, I was like, what is the process? What did I go through in order to become successful in that region? So I was like, you know what? Let me start taking care of my credit. Let me start taking care of register my entity the correct way. So I have a book
Mhm.
called How to Properly Set Up Your Business, especially for creatives, where it's a step-by-step process,
Mhm.
each step that you need to have. Like, for example, I'm gonna give a gem right now. When you name your company, and say, for example, you do trucking, you say it's my name trucking LLC, whatever. When you go to the bank will be like, oh, you know what? You're in a high risk category. So therefore, you probably will not get the full amount of the fund that you're looking for. But if you was
Right.
to name it the right type of way with the SIC codes, therefore you have a greater chance of getting the full amount, the full funding amount right there. So all these little things I started learning. So you know what? I'm gonna start teaching the stuff right here. And
Mhm.
that's why I got this university called Business Creators University. We help people become more business savvy for all these artistic entrepreneurs.
That's incredible. And to think it started all the way back to the
Yes,
original when you first started, right?
yes,
Everybody
yes,
wants the peak of the performance right here,
yes,
right now, but they don't see
yes,
the process, right? That
yes,
led you up to that point.
yes,
So when you got to that point with the business
yes,
creative university, how did it
yes.
make you feel? Like what was that like? Like what was that emotion that you felt like this is really happening? Because you didn't think twice about should I, would I, could
No,
I,
no,
did you?
it was never that. I think that sometimes if you let I would say the spirit guide you, it's
Mhm.
gonna guide you because I think deep down inside we all know what we're supposed to do.
Mm.
You know what? It's like, okay, you know what? I want to lose weight. But I know I should be eating all this extra stuff and not exercising and not doing anything at all. Just for
Okay.
example. That's just for example right there. So we
Yeah.
know what we're supposed to do. We know we're supposed to wake up earlier to work on a project or not procrastinate anything like that. So
Mhm.
what happened, I have a bigger project that I'm working on with a partner that I
Mhm.
can't talk about right now.
Sure.
And as we was talking about this big project right here, it was like, you know what? I have to solidify the other thing that's a part of this bigger project. So when I thought about it, I was like, I have to create Business Creative University. I have
Mhm.
to do that because I'm already doing that already. So therefore, that kind of led into that run right there for the bigger project. But it was the business mind because now when I think about things, I think two different ways. The artists be
Yeah.
like, yo, let's do this. Like, nah, nah, man, we're not doing that. No, 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 no. How much money you made last month for that? No, 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 no. That didn't work. We have to do something else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You see
Right.
what I'm saying? So even in preparing for this interview, certain things I had to launch right away. That the
Mhm.
businessman said, this is what you have to do.
Yeah.
Period. And
Yes.
that's what I did right there. As you can see, because I do a lot
Mm.
of different things though.
Yeah. I'm gonna put that banner back up there. I um I want people to hear the story too. So
Yes.
yeah, and I want to just while we're here, LaRONZ Murray LLC.com. And I
Yes.
believe, and I want to, this is the first time, right,
Yes.
that it's been launched and actually
Yes.
public.
Yes. Yes. It is. It's definitely I've been inspired by Welcome to Your Life to put this up quicker and launch it as soon as this interview right here. So this is live right now. This is the
I
beginning,
love it.
and I love it because like I said, we spoke at the beginning, and I'm so glad I'm talking to you, and I'm launching it with you because
Mhm.
I thought that we had such a great connection, and you give me like a lot of just information and a lot of positive energy to kind of let us know, and that's what I want to do for the creatives. Let them know, like even though I know it's hard sometimes, I know you're not cornered doing whatever you're doing, trying to make
Mhm.
it work, and you struggle with different things like that, but understand you're making the world a beautiful place. But
Yes.
once you can figure it out, it's off to the races right there.
Yes. I agree. Well, I tell you what, Laurence, I'm honored that you're here. I'm honored that this was the first place that it was actually launched.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just such an incredible thing because my whole goal is to share these types of experiences with people so that they know that they can do it too, right? So the
Yes,
fact
yes,
that like this is the first time that this has launched. I mean, I'm making history for myself, right?
Yes.
That's motivation for me to keep going.
Yes. Yes.
And so I thank you so much for that,
Absolutely.
because it's truly an honor. Your work is amazing. Your spirit's amazing. What you do is amazing. And what I love about it is that you come from such a true heart space of
Yes.
just 100%. I don't really, I think authenticity is used too much.
Yes.
Just a great heart space of
Yes.
simplicity, yet depth, substance,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Everything that we as human beings and humanity craves,
Yeah.
right? If we just stop and look, stop and witness our process,
Yes.
who is in our life,
Yes.
right? As a creative, if we get a creative in our life, is it just, oh, LaRONZ, hey, that's really good art, or hey, LaRONZ, that's a really nice poet or
Right.
poem?
Yes.
Or are we really listening to the message? Are we seeing LaRONZ for the creative that he is? That fire ignites his soul, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
what
Yes.
is his message? That's
Yes.
the bigger question, right?
Yes.
Because then it's like, wow, huh? I just thought that was a male and a female picture.
Right.
No,
Right.
no, no,
Right.
no, no.
Right.
Right. So it takes on a whole nother component of learning, our life lessons. But
Yes.
then it also, if we really go deep and ask ourselves, like, what is this artist really trying to express?
Yes.
You can
Yes.
tell a lot about the artist. You can deep dive into the artist's soul,
Yes.
right?
Because
Just by
you're
what
bearing
he
your soul.
does.
Yes. It's a nakedness. You're bearing your soul
Yes.
as an artist, because it's like you letting people into your world, and it's amazing. It's a vulnerability. I think what happened with artists, like, you are vulnerable.
Yes.
That's what make you great artists, though. If you look at the greatest artist, Michael Jackson, you look at what he did. It's like he was vulnerable to the world. And I think what happens, we have to absorb the world, and then we kind of regurgitate it back.
Yeah. Robert says a true creative can find beauty in anything. And I have a Lucy Lynch. She's a dear friend in Hawaii, good old Hawaii. And she's a beautiful creative as well.
Like,
And her work is just amazing. And so welcome, Lucy. Good to see you.
yeah.
So I just really, I think that I think that creative people, and especially with all that you have learned, is well, here, before I go there, I have a question from Zanetta. Where do you get your inspiration from? Inspiration from?
Life. Literally, it may sound broad, but it's life. Because what happened, if you can get it from life, then you can always be available to take something in, to regurgitate, to reproduce in your version, though. So just people, life, situations, it doesn't matter right there,
Mhm.
And I think when I first started, it's like I was just trying to find so many different angles, and just to make it creative, just make it different right there. But it really always came back down to life. And it really started with relationships. I just felt that if you start with relationships, you definitely got a depth of creativity that's waiting to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lucy agrees as well. Robert has he said that he remembers diving in deep, then surfacing and waving to other friend that was part of that conversation, who decided it was time to depart, diving deep into another one's soul. I don't do that anymore, but it was unlike anything else I have ever done. Yeah. We have another question. What is your choice of medium?
Acrylic. It dries quickly. I'll tell you a funny story. So when I first started drawing, and somebody said, "Okay, you know what? You should paint," and I began with the crayons. So here I go. I go to a store, and I was like, you know what? And I'm picking up oils. Now, for a first-time artist, you don't want to do oils because, first of all, it takes too long to dry. That's a whole different process right there. So I started talking to the person. She was like, "No, no, no. You just started. No, you should start with acrylic." I said, "Acrylics?" I said, "Okay, all right, whatever it is." But I didn't know what to do. Only thing, I just knew that it was a journey, and
Yeah.
that's the exciting thing, is that if you look at your journey as exciting, and all these different webs and turns that you make, and then you just got to become like water, just flow with it.
Just
'Cause
flow.
that's your creativity. Because as long as you flow, that's your creativity going through all these different vessels and everything like that. So you can never be stopped right there. The power of the water of your creativity.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation. Just when you talk about the power of water
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
flow and how that relates to life.
Yes, that is the conversation.
That's for another time, another place, my friend.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now my mind starts going. I gotta make sure I keep it condensed.
Absolutely. 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 Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Zanetta, she says inspiration of life in acrylic. And
I like that. I like the
yeah.
title. I love that. She got to be a creative. I know she is. She has to be.
Yes, she is.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. That's a bar right there.
She says, yes, do not start with oil. So great to meet another artist, and she loves graphite.
Yes, I do. I do graphite too. I do graphite too. Yes, I love graphite. Yes, yes.
So okay, so now that you guys are on this mode, graphite, acrylic, oil, do you just kind of feel it in your spirit what you're supposed to do, or is how do you determine, like, if you get in this inspiration, am I going to do acrylic, am I going to do graphic, what am I going to do?
Yeah,
what inspires you to know?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like sometimes I do a lot of mixed media now. I'm doing like a lot of mixed media. Just the creativity with that right there. So I began like my BASQUIAT series with a lot of mixed media type of things right there. Just kind of reimagine how he looks and just kind of reposition it and just do things like that. So and then with that, I will do a lot of acrylics and pens and markers and oil states, all these different things though, you know, to make it speak, give it some texture, you know, put foam board on there where it's like you got the canvas or the wood. I would take wood and you got the foam board sticking out the image a little bit more, you know, different things like that. Or I just might just see different other artists work and it's like, you know what, how can I remix that in my own style? So it varies a lot though.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's one of the things that with creatives, it's like, and especially as you grow and evolve in life, I love when creatives, where you see where they start and you can literally see the evolution. You can see their life patterns, right? You see it spike, you see it kind of plateau, you see it dip, you see it go back up. And I think if people are really looking, and I think that goes to our lives too, if you really just stop to look, we are artists in our own way.
Yes.
But you can see a person's life in the reflection of the work that they do. When you listen to the music, when you go to their plays, you know, you see them if you're paying attention. And I think that's what we have to do, is pay attention. Would you agree or no?
I definitely agree. And artists come in different ways. Like, for example, you can have a person who's a cook, right? But they order out most of the time. Like, hold on a second, you're a cook. Why do you order out most of the time? Same thing with me. When I started doing artwork, I didn't have a lot of art on my wall. But the people that was buying the artwork, they would show me how to position. I was like, that's beautiful. I said, you're an artist in your own right. So, well, how you say that? Because you know how to take a piece of artwork and just reposition on the wall to present it. I think that's very artistic right there, you know? So, like you said, I think we should listen and just kind of go off our own vibe and, you know, make it work though. So,
yeah. Zanetta is asking, do you have a gallery or showcase your work virtually?
Okay, gallery. Yes. Actually, if you go to LaRONZ MURRAY Artists, that's my other website. That's because I got the business website.
Yes.
You always say the business and the artist. It's called LaRONZ MURRAY Artists. You can see a lot of my work right there. And if you Google LaRONZ MURRAY, you can see like a lot of things come up. I did a lot of shows and everything like that. But definitely a lot virtually right there.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, yeah, you've been featured in a lot of places. You know, as well. So please share that because we want you to have as much exposure as possible.
Yes, I've got featured a lot with the artwork. When I did the 42nd Times Square show, real interesting because I had a lot of celebrities at that show. I had Uncle Ralph McDaniels, who has Video Music Box. Anybody know, like the very kind of like the first hip hop show for New York City. He was there. He kind of co-hosted the show. How he did it, I was very happy because he got on. He was like, "This is how hip hop used to be." Whereas like you had all the different elements, and I was like, "Wow, that's a bar right there. That's a nice blurb." So he okayed it, and it had like a lot of celebrities. We had the Source, we have From the Roots, the beatboxer, his son performed, and a lot of people from different other parts of the country performed right there, and it was really good. We had a really good time, and I got a lot of interviews. I think one was Swagga Music. Concrete magazine, a lot of other magazines that showed up. I got a lot of different press right there. So it's a good thing. I think most of the time people are more impressed by the fact that the time period that I've been doing whatever I've been doing. But what happened, I had one interview with Concrete, and she was like, I see that you do a lot of different things. I see you do the artwork, I see you do the poetry, the singing, this. They said, what is your favorite one? I said, you know what? It's very interesting. I said, they like kids. I said, basically what it is, it's a tree. My foundation is a tree, and each branch is a branch of it. So that's why I call myself a true creator, because no matter what, it comes from a branch that leads to something else right there. You know, the only thing that I was trying to do is like take that tree and put it in my own backyard, which is only something like a studio right there.
Yeah.
You know? But so I got that. But on another end that we haven't spoken about is that along the way, when I was on 34th Street at the beginning, a guy comes up to me and he says, can I take your picture? Now, at that point in time, I had about 35, 40 countries take my picture because I had like crazy, unique hairstyle. Yeah. And it was so funny because I was just start charging, $5, whatever. I just start charging, whatever. Everything's a hustle, you know. So he was like, you know what? I'm a photographer. He's like, I can get you to magazines. I was like, magazines? It's interesting. I said, okay. And I'm thinking in my brain, like, I see, you know what? Muhammad Ali had a photographer and he got documented. I said, let me get documented. So we exchange information. So as we started doing photo shoot with this particular guy, when I tell you who he is, everybody's gonna be like, wow, this guy's really big. He's well renowned. So we actually did magazine shoots. The very first magazine shoot we did was called Jalouse magazine. The photographer name was Jamel Shabazz. If you just Google Jamel Shabazz, you would know that this guy is humongous. But at the time, I was one of his top models, and we do like a lot of photo shoots. I'd be like the point guard of just understanding, getting all the different models, and we do all these different shoots. So every time we did a magazine shoot, I got a full page spread. So I've done Fashion Week. I've done Pose and Beauty is a book that I'm in that's done by Dr. Deborah Willis. She's like a PhD professor at NYU. So I was selected in that book. You got people like Denzel Washington, a lot of celebrities and regular people, just a mixture of different people. And what happened, my image out of like 400 or 500 images was selected to be a part of her traveling exhibition. Her exhibition started in 2010. It's going to 2022. My image in the book that was done with this lady by the name Naomi Lenore. She is an actual, she was a Victoria's Secret supermodel, Sports Illustrated supermodel, and she's an actress. She was in Rush Hour 3 with Chris. And so she did a lot of things. So that image became a leading photograph in the exhibition right there. And it's still going on to right now. So it's a show in 2022 at another museum. So here's an image from around the world with that. So I was like, you know what? What else can I do with that image right there? So what I decided to do, that book coming out, it's called The Original Jamel Shabazz Supermodel. And that's going to have my images. It's going to be an ebook right there. It's almost complete. It's almost done right there. So that's going to showcase my story visually that I've done with Jamel Shabazz. And Jamel Shabazz was my mentor for so many years.
Wow.
And the thing about it that makes it beautiful is that we've done like collaborations in magazines. I was on New York Times. I was in there. A lot of things we did together because he was so strategic in the way that we approach our craftsmanship, everything like that. So I got that book coming out. Very excited about that book. And I was discovered on 34th Street by him.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
That is wow. See, but you know what? The power of making a decision. You decided to not give up. You went through those peaks, right?
Yes.
Got those access points, and you just kept moving. The train never stopped.
Yes, absolutely.
It never stopped.
100%. And what makes it interesting, and I always go back to 34th Street because that's my baby. So in a certain year, I was dealing with some management. And they was going to manage me, right? It was like, you know what, we're going to deal with your management. And unfortunately, the guy told me what I should do. He said, you should write a book. I said, write a book? He said, tell your story. So when I told my story, I wrote a book of my whole expedition, pinpoint every single thing that we're talking about right now in the actual book. The book is called Born on 34th Street, The Evolution of the Revolutionary Artist, LaRONZ MURRAY. So that comes out in 2022. So I got a slew of books that's coming out to tell the whole story right there, you know. Very excited. One person who inspires me as far as a fashion magnet is Dapper Dan.
Dapper
Now,
Dan?
who Dapper Dan is?
Really?
Yes, because Dapper Dan, remember, he was doing this thing in the 80s, right? And then what happened, he got shut down, right? I think 92, whatever.
Right.
He stayed underground. He never stopped. He kept doing what he was doing. And I met him one time too, because we got mutual friends, whatever. And plus Jamel Shabazz know him very well too. So we got mutual friends, everything like that. So what happens? So when they redid his coat, and then Black Twitter got on and started talking about it, and then now he's just doing this thing. So he's up and away. This remix got to deal with Gucci. He's doing this thing. So he inspires me because it tells a story that, like I tell a person, it's like when you have history, it's a beautiful thing because you can take that and mix it into a package because now you have a story. You know what I'm saying? And I know I have a story. So if you remix that package, have that story. So to see Dapper Dan doing this thing right now inspires me because it's like, okay, I spend a lot of time doing a lot of different things. Let's bring it all back and tell that story. So when they look at Dapper Dan, they look at his history because he has a story. If you didn't know who he was, you start to study like, wow, this guy got a big, he never gave up.
Right.
Don't give up.
Yeah. Don't give up. And you know, the other component to that I always think about is, you know, just because you're in stealth mode and people don't see you doesn't mean that things aren't happening.
Yes.
And you're not, and it's not thriving. And you know, sometimes you do have to pull back and just go in stealth mode so that you can listen, you can hear, and you can get inspired, right? Without all the outside noise.
Absolutely.
Not that there's a time and place for it, but sometimes that's when your best work. And then when you launch, it's like, oh, I thought they weren't even around anymore. Well, that's what you get for thinking and not right.
Absolutely. I love it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Zanetta says that Jamel Shabazz is an amazing artist and that she remembers Dapper Dan. And she says, even if you're in stealth mode, doesn't mean you're not doing anything. Boom, shakalaka. That's exactly right.
Absolutely. Because guess what? You have to write the script. You have to rehearse. You have to paint the painting. You have to put. It's like an artist that's about to do a show. I haven't seen that artist in 3 months. But guess what? He has a big show coming out next month.
Yeah.
A one-man solo show. You know. So yes, it's
100%.
all about that. And as artists, we got to pull back sometime. It's like a rubber band. We have to pull back to explode, you know. And I've been pulled back a lot.
Yes. But look at you now. I mean, you know, because I am so happy that I met you and that we've connected because you've been such an inspiration. Just such an inspiration, you know, just from the initial conversation and the more I talk to you, and then you see, you know, when you go and you look at your work and just there's just so much. And when you told me our first conversation, when you told me about L.O.P.A, I was like, what the heck is L.O.P.A? Right. But when you think about that language of poetical artistry, right? When you think about that, it's like, it is a language. It is poetic.
Yes.
And it is artistry. Isn't that what life is about?
Yes.
That encompasses life.
Absolutely. So it's I wish I could make it say life, you know. But it is. Everything is inspired from life, though. You know, blank canvas takes time to come to life. I agree 1,000%. 1,000%.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of time is like, I think sometimes people want to have the canvas and then the next one is just the actual piece of artwork. And I think what happens with that is that if you enjoy the process, it's a beautiful thing. And I think one of the things as far as like for myself is like I love that feeling of creativity, and I love that feeling of when it's done. It's like a high. It's like a creative high. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm so glad that creative high can satisfy so many different things because you can go outside and have different other habits though. But it's that creative high that really happens that I love, especially with music, because you record. Because when I first got my producer, and we recorded a few pieces. One was Luscious Lips. One was called The Chair. And one was called Intertwine. So we record the parts. I'll go back to the studio and he plays it for me. I was just blown away. I was like, this is incredible. This is really it's like I can't pay for this feeling right now. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah. She said, yes, it's a creative high though. Yes. So that creative high is something that's just get us through life. Just make us feel really, really good though. So
Yeah. Yeah. And it also inspires, Robert says that high I get from taking myself to another level is only possible when building relationships, even with myself. I think that's one of the most important things, is not relationships with other people as much as it is building relationships with ourselves and understanding ourselves enough to know what our mastery is. Absolutely. And then exploding that and just going with it, just exactly what you've described during this whole interview, and if you really just stop to think about that, I mean, how powerful is that, right?
It's very powerful, because it's so funny. You have your most important relationship is with yourself, but we don't nurture it.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yes.
Just nurture yourself with your relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
Somebody else. Yes.
Yeah. And you always you think, oh, well, their life is better. No, a lot of times they're just not even being honest with themselves. It's a facade. It's an illusion, and nobody's got time for that. I don't have time for that, and if that's their life, I mean, that's their life until, they decide that they want to make a change and do something different.
Yes.
However, when you're in this state of movement, that flow like water, it never stops.
Yes.
Right. It's always moving, that whole flow. It's really just an incredible experience. And Zanetta, she says imposters. That's right. It's so true.
Yes, it's so right about that. 100%. Yes.
And I think that, when you think of imposters, though, sometimes we're imposters, LaRONZ, with ourselves. Because we don't want to see ourselves. It's like, oh, that's too good to be true. Oh, I can really do that. Yes, you can.
Yes.
And yes, I am.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
And then when you integrate that,
absolutely,
it's like, man.
Absolutely. I've definitely been through that process though. Yeah. So I just think that, as far as with me coaching and mentoring, it's like, I know I have so much things that I've been through that I can tell different people because of history. What I'm saying? And having a history. And then now, the thing that I came across at the beginning of this year, I was like, how can I tie this stuff together? How can this stuff make sense? So someone to see what's going on, how can it make sense? So therefore, the businessman said, you know what? Take your behind in there and do everything you're supposed to be doing to get everything together, and use your creativity to make it look beautiful. Then let's do some work. This is our thing, though. So it's like a two-way conversation, but it works. It works.
Yeah,
it definitely works.
Yeah. I remember you had, and I have this here. You said we talked about it at length in our first conversation. Who am I? Right?
Yes.
And you said I empower people struggling with creative expression, overcome communication challenges with the language of poetical artistry.
Absolutely. Because the thing about it is that you think about it, it's like, when we're communicating to our mates or our spouse or our significant other, whatever it may be, it's like, how can you be more creative? Because what happens is, like, people go out, let me get flowers. Yeah. Okay, let me take it to the movies. Let me do the basic things right there. You can be more extravagant, you can right there. But if you can take the common person that don't have a lot of different things and give them something that they can give to the person to communicate a message. And art always communicate a message right there. Right. I just believe that art speaks a language, and I believe that I understand the language to speak with the art. And just to combine with everything all together right there is a powerful message, because like I guess one of my favorite painters is definitely the Soulmates.
Yeah.
How it comes together. I love that piece right there, because what happened, no matter what you're going through, when you look at that wall, you're like, wow, okay, we're arguing right now, but it's still Soulmates maybe right there though. So another thing that I do is that when I first started painting, started doing the poetry, I would have a lot of single females that, we have a lot of different conversations, because they kind of relate. They're like, you write this stuff, let's talk. So they tell me everything right there. So I got a lot of inspiration of creativity of dealing with the people. And that's why my path of going through 34th Street was very important, because most artists are like in a corner. I was creating literally on the street. I was painting on the street, creating all these masterpieces on the street right there. But it was being inspired by the people. So I was always interconnected with the people, because I'm saying the message they want to have, what they want to hear right there, talking to them. So what happened is that what I would do, I'll have pieces in like, for example, I have soulmates. And my poem of soulmates, of just the lyrics themselves, so much. I did so well with that that was like, I guess, my most famous poem right there. So one lady comes to me, she's like, I don't have a soulmate. I was like, okay, I understand. I said, but you still have to put out the energy. He said, I will buy the painting, but I don't have a soulmate. I said, this is what you do. I said, if you get soulmates or the paintings that you want to say, you're going to create an energy that you're going to put in your house, that you're going to hang up, that's going to resonate with anybody who's coming to your environment.
Yeah.
She was like, that's interesting. I said, because what happened when you have certain people into your environment that you may be dating, whatever, and they're not really thinking that way.
Right.
That painting is going to speak to them and be like, I'm not really trying to be soulmate, you know, and now you're going to kind of know what's going on. You may have a person going to be like, you know what, I'm tired of playing. I'm tired of this. I'm open-minded. So what happened, it creates the conversation. Because now if you talk about that, you can find out right away, quicker and easier, what type of energy you guys got coming together. Right. And the question is, do you got the half of my poem? You have the other half to match mine, become soulmates?
Yeah, and then not only that, you know, that painting is so powerful with those two pieces come together, because what is your energetic imprint anyway? You, just because you're the opposite sex or whatever, that still doesn't mean we're connected, right? So you got to come together in all of those things.
Absolutely.
And so hopefully, right,
yes.
they will think about those things. It's deeper than just a soulmate, but that energetic connection.
Right.
Are we in alignment?
Exactly.
Are we?
Exactly.
Or you have a full moon crazy, you know, the stars are not aligning today.
Absolutely. But you know what it is? When it begins a conversation, that's the whole. It begins a dialogue. I think you can spark dialogue, and that's what the art comes from. You have controversial art that can create dialogue.
Yes.
Even though now, I was going to say, even though, we were speaking about the relationships and all these different things, one of my things artistically that I'm really am very passionate about is inner city youth. I'm really, really passionate about that. And the thing about it is that to create different avenues, different ways for them to create and for them to be free and accept different environments, everything like that. So one of my other books I got coming out is called Ghetto Life / Prison Life, which is almost like a self-maintenance guide for the urban youth that can hear these poetical tales to kind of paint in their mind which way they can go. So every poem that I wrote inside that book is written from a perspective of whatever it may be. It may be a person who's hustling, who's doing drugs, or may be doing pimping, or maybe doing whatever. But all these different circumstances is going to lead to it can lead to one other area that I talk about, prison life. Right. I got a famous poem called Behind Prison Bars that I collaborate with Jamel Shabazz with, where he had images and I had the poem. It was in this magazine called Trace Magazine.
Wow.
That came out years ago right there. So the thing about it is that I have a lot of material on that right there, and when I used to perform, my show was called Love and Reality. I gave you the love stuff and I gave you the reality stuff. So it's a balance in life right there.
Right.
So I'm very passionate as far as like the different angles from the urban youth. So that book's coming out right there. So I got books that's not only with love, and it really comes down to life, because it's like you go through life from one level to the next level right there. It's a continuous thing. So you start to have history and you document these different things. That's why when a person's creating, they're like, you know what? Sometimes you're creating for 10 years from now or 5 years from now. But the whole thing is that you should create whatever state that you in. If you sad, create. If you feel good, create. It doesn't matter, because it all's going to make sense later on, if not now at this moment right here. 100%. And that's what I feel good about, because now when I come out with all this material and people start to analyze and see what's going on, they're going to come back to this interview and be like, wow, he really figured out what he does. And that's why I'm so happy, so proud to be a part of the situation, because this historical moment is happening right now.
I know.
This is a launching pad right here.
I know. I know. I'm telling you, I am so humbled and honored, because this is history, you know. And I was thinking as you were talking about the inner city youth,
Yes.
A dear friend was telling me recently that a lot of the schools, they're taking away and they're not teaching history.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
And more in a private sector. This example that she was sharing with me, and they were, you know, to think that, you know, kids relate, and younger people, they need something that they can really, you know, that's hip, right?
Yes.
They
Yes.
learn by that, they like that, right?
Yes.
And so, you know, to have that platform, to have this platform of you as a creative to do that, I think it's amazing. Do you have anything that you're, and if you can share,
Yes.
but that focuses on history too, that teaches them, because they're not being taught that in schools?
A lot of it's so funny. A lot of my things that I do, as far as like on a socially conscious thing, is
Mhm.
I depict things from the past. I give you examples.
Mm.
When I had did my first exhibition, my first group show, and what happened, it was for Black History Month, and I
Mhm.
had a piece for Martin Luther King. So my thing is that everybody has a painting of Martin Luther King that they give for these shows. I said, you know what? I'm gonna do something different. So when Martin Luther King got assassinated, is because of Memphis riots, because of the Memphis sanitation workers. So what happened? I did a painting of a sanitation worker, and he had a sign on say, you know, I am a man, right?
Wow.
So
Ooh, that's
what I did, I told the curator, I said, you know what? I'm going to perform this right here, and I call it art to life, where you take still art to performance art. So I became the person in when I wrote the poem. I wrote the poem as if I was in 1968 on the line, and all my dialogue was poetical, and I acted out all these different things, being emotional and everything like that. So you treat me like I'm a quarter of a man right there. So I became that person. So I do things like that right there. When I got reviewed for the show, there was like, and I got articles and magazines for the interview. It was like, I see that you take people with unforgotten voices and you bring
Mm.
them back. So in my exhibitions, I do a thing I call art to life, and I become the person. I paint the picture, I become the person. And my show
Mhm.
on for 42nd Times Square show, Basquiat did a picture of a person by the name of Michael Stewart. Back in 1983, Michael Stewart, who had locks that kind of look like Basquiat a little bit right there,
Mhm.
was allegedly, you know, situation
Yeah.
with NYPD, you know, how
Yeah.
that ended right there.
Yes.
So I did a painting of Michael Stewart. And then what I did when I performed, I actually became Michael Stewart and everything he was feeling as if he wrote it. And that's what I do
Wow.
right there. So that's how I kind of depict history right there.
Yeah. Wow. All I can say is wow. It's
Yeah.
incredible. And you know, but I think that each facet that you're referring to,
Mhm.
you relate to different people in different ways, right? So the fact that you're able to do that,
Mhm.
because some people, you know, they learn through visual, some are
Yes.
auditory. So
Yes.
same way when you're looking at artwork, you know, you're going to inspire
Yes.
people, that's going to touch their hearts with different. So the
Yes.
fact that you're so multifaceted is
Yes.
just phenomenal. And I'm really just so grateful to know you. And
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
I
Same.
really am. And so I know you still have a business to run. So I want to be honor and respect your time as well.
Yes.
So you have the artwork, you have your new business that's launching
Yes.
with the
Yes.
coaching on the business side of it. So
Yes.
what is something that you want to leave with us? And not that you haven't inspired us this whole entire time, but
Yes.
I want to make sure that everyone knows how to reach you.
Yes. Yes.
And if can they also, if they have like a specific piece that they just are inspired but they don't know how to um, articulate it, could they call you to commission a piece? Do you do
Yes.
that?
Yes. 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 So what they can do is I got a few websites. So
Okay.
you can go to LaRONZMurrayLLC.com. So you can go there right now. So that's live right now. Debut launched today. And you got all my information on there. If you want to see more of the artwork, you can go to LaRONZMurrayArtists.com. You see like a lot of art right there. And you want to commission me? Yes, we definitely can do that right there. And so I have all my information right there, and I got the books information, everything like that. So, you know, that's a good way to get in contact with me.
Okay.
And everything, yes, and everything. If you go social media, everything is LaRONZ Murray. LaRONZ Murray, LaRONZ Murray, Facebook, LaRONZ Murray Artist for Facebook, LaRONZ Murray at LaRONZ Murray for Instagram, at OriginalJamelShabazzSupermodel on Instagram. So we have a lot of things coming out. Very excited. We're going to end this quarter very strong, and come next year, we're going to launch Business Creative University. So I'm very, very excited about that. And so people want coaching, they get in contact with me. We can talk, see we're fit, because we got to become a fit.
Absolutely.
Got to have that mind side, that mind ready right there. Also, I have a free ebook that I actually sent you the cover to.
Yes.
Yes. So I got a free ebook also. So, you can get in contact for that, and go from there.
And I'm going to post all these links in the comments.
Yes.
Sometimes when you start trying to add things to the actual interview, I want them to have full 100% connected to this. So, but all of your information is going to be posted in the links as well. And it'll be on YouTube and on LinkedIn as well.
Beautiful. Lovely.
And I'll send you the link as well. So
beautiful.
Anything that you would like to leave us with, is, if you haven't left us with so much, but
yes, I just want to let know creatives. I just want creatives to really do their thing and look at inspiration in everything you do, And like I said, one last thing I do want to say is that I'm so inspired by the youth, and I think the youth is definitely, they're going to be the leaders of tomorrow. So I got a program called Artistry to Life right there. That's soon going to become nonprofit. And that right there, we're going to kind of get them from a certain age group, probably middle school, and create programs for middle school to high school to college to postgraduate all the way up. So I got another humongous project I'm working on that is going to be global. This thing is going to be global right there. But it's really to empower people at a younger age and teach them business. They can be 13, 14 years old, but understand business and credit right there, to kind of groom their minds to have the combination of both. So therefore, I think sometimes what happens, you can have a very talented person and they're not able to release that because of certain circumstances, everything like that.
Right.
So we want to kind of get them at a younger age. So therefore, as they grow up, they can be just well equipped and just ready for the world to explode.
Right. Absolutely. Get that creative flowing at an early age. And they're so talented now too. I mean, they're just, the youth of today just amazes me with their creativity. So I am just honored for you to be here. I am honored that this is the first place on Welcome to Life where we're living in freedom every day, where the business university has been launched, and I'm really grateful for that. And I just hope that you continue to just do what you do so effortlessly. I don't hope, I know that you will. So I was choice words, but I'm really grateful for you to be here, LaRONZ, and thank you so much for all you do, for all you're doing for the communities.
Thank you.
And just touching our hearts with your creative expression.
Thank you.
It's amazing. And I'm so happy, just so happy. So with that being said, I appreciate your time. Don't go anywhere. I want to finish this out, and then I'll be back.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So there you have it. I mean, can you imagine being in the presence of somebody that has that type of creative abilities, but then I ask myself, and I challenge you to ask yourselves, are we looking for those opportunities? Are we looking for those deep connections? Are we looking for those people that are expressing themselves through their artistic and their creative abilities? So I just hope this inspired you. Please share this out, because the world needs to know this. This is amazing. It's just amazing. I'm just so excited. And I appreciate everyone that showed up today, this afternoon. Welcome to Life, where we're living in freedom every day. And LaRONZ is one of the most incredible examples of living his life in freedom every day and inspiring us along the way. So happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope you have a super day. I love you all, and we will talk to you soon. Have a good day. Bye.